So, this video is going to be about Honda Tuning Suite, and I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I made my base map, and I think that that's going to be hopefully helpful to you guys for you to potentially make your own base map, and it's just somewhere to start with. I'm by no means a pro at Honda Tuning Suite. For the most part, I don't really know what I'm doing, but don't let that discourage you. I think that we can learn together and figure this software out together, which I think that'll be really good that we can figure that out together because, I need some help here. You guys can figure stuff out, I can figure stuff out, and we can all learn together. But I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip here, and I'm going to go ahead and play it, and we'll see exactly what we can get into. So, loading it up here. First thing I do is I go to make a new map here because you got to start from scratch because I want to show you guys the whole process here and not just what I've already done. So I already practiced before, but this is my run with you guys. So we go to new, and you want to go to OBD1 because that's what we're working with here, our OBD1 ECU, and we have the prototype base ROM, which is going to give you the most features and everything, and it's supposed to be stable. So I personally have the 4-bar map sensor, the Omni Power 4-bar, so that's what I selected here. But you guys would select whatever you have, and that's just going to do the scaling on the maps and everything. So the stock injectors on the car are 240s, but that's the injector battery offset, so this is going to do the dead times and all that stuff. So I use the decap flex fuel, or not non-flex fuel, GM style truck injectors. So I select the RC Engineering 750cc with the 12 ohm, which is the high impedance, and that's what Hunter Tune recommends, and that's what he does. So that's what I do, and I'm going to go ahead and put the boost cut in at, I don't know why I did points in there, but basically it's got to be 11 for my stock map sensor. That's where I had it, but I'll be able to turn it up now because I have the 4-bar, so that's cool. And boost columns, I think going up higher would be good, just so we have a little bit more density. If I were to do it again and rescale the map, I was thinking about it here. I was like, how many columns do I really need? But I think going back, I would have done a few more because the map sensor is like 40 something pounds of boost. But 120% is always pretty good as far as fuel per PSI. That's a good place to start. And we're retarding 1 degree of timing per PSI, so that's always super safe. And then the injectors are 800cc, or said to flow by 800cc. Transmission, and then it's going to ask if you want to calculate the base levels for cranking and tipping. You let it do that. And then I guess, select your transmission so it knows gearing and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's super important. And that's disabling certain sensors and stuff like that. So then it's going to ask, what do we want to pull from for a base map for all of our fuel maps? And there's a lot of stuff here that we can actually pull from. And I ended up finding the, I think, F22B1, which is the VTEC version of my engine, which is the B2 that I have, which is the non-VTEC. So that's kind of cool. So the low cam side should coincide with my low cam map, and I just won't end up using the high cam map of this base map. So that was kind of cool that it started there, and I hope that that holds true. Even though it's turbo, it's going to change things, but I'll end up tuning it. But hopefully that puts us close. I know that the injectors put us way off, and I had to add a bunch, but I was just kind of playing around here. I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but going through all of these settings here, we've got obviously all sorts of stuff. Idle settings. I do want to mess with the idle air control valve duty, which I want to pull that down to bring the idle down a little bit, as you guys might have seen from the last video. But that's something that I can do, and you can also do ignition to control idle, which is cool. You saw that there too. VTEC settings I don't need. Rev limits, always good to, I think it's cool to have a cold rev limit, just in case somebody wants to try to cold rev your car. You can set that way down there, which is kind of sweet. And then, so that's what I was doing there, I think, setting it for whatever, and then the warm set is the one that's actually going to be your rev limiter, and then you get to even set your coolant temperature, so that's pretty cool. So if you're ever worried about that, somebody just hopping in and cold revving your car, you could, make sure that that doesn't happen for you. And then down there, more importantly, which I'll get to, I was messing with these, trying to get them close, about 100 apart. Makes it sound like really quick pop there. But down at the bottom, if you do ignition cut, I think as opposed to fuel cut, that's how you get those pops and bangs. So that's pretty cool. That's definitely something that I can't wait to drive the car and hear that. When we get a little rev limiter action, we'll get some of that ignition cut, and we leave the fuel going on there. So that's how you get those nice bangs, all that exploding extra fuel. And then there's there's the mods right there to mess with those, which probably won't end up touching any of that stuff until I actually know what it does and what it needs, or learn a little bit more about it. So then, just check engine shift light, which you can enable, which I did, I think. But then there's gear-based shift lights. So now we're looking at closed loop. So that's whether or not you're looking at your wideband. So I want to have the O2 completely disabled, and I just want to run off of my tune. That's how I like it. And you can mess with your map sensor settings, calibrate your TPS, which I need to do. Full throttle and no throttle, and you get that 0 and 100% all dialed in. And then there's some other stuff here. Let's see. Injector calibration. So that's some stuff that we already kind of worked on, already did, but you can still mess with cranking and tipping, as well as all that stuff even after you create the initial base map. Individual cylinder trims, that's if you got something that's a super high horsepower running hotter in the middle. 2 cylinders, so you can change, add more fuel. Cranking fuel we can touch. All these are like fine tunings, and this is really the hardest stuff to tune, guys. Like all this stuff, making sure that the tune stays consistent in the different temperatures and the high load, mid load. So all that stuff's super helpful, but most of that's going to be good to go. And a lot of this stuff I'm not even 100% familiar with, but hopefully, as I learn about it, I can show you guys too. So obviously we have our launch control settings, and this actually has like this variable launch control, which is pretty cool. So you activate it by, I think you can leave it always on or disabled, but so I ended up leaving it always on just because I didn't want to have any of those other things be the actual switch. So I think I ended up leaving it always on. But what you can do is use a certain throttle percentage when you're not moving below a certain speed, and then you can do the TPS adjustable. So you can actually set your launch control to whatever RPM you actually want by using the TPS. So like you can use the throttle to say you want to launch at 5 grand by like giving it so much gas till it gets to 5 grand, and then it knows where you want it, and then it'll hold it there. So it's pretty cool, honestly. I don't know. I have yet to try it. I'll see how it works. In theory, it seems cool, but I don't know. Set rev limit or set launch control is enough for me. So that's pretty cool though. So that's the analytic settings, which we're gonna have to mess with, obviously. But I'll wait to tune the car first before we start doing anti-lag stuff. And that's the adjustable launch for the TPS stuff on the bottom there. But not sure if I ended up messing with that at this point. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I think that's it for that. Full throttle shift, which, you're staying on the gas, just stabbing the clutch there. It'll set a little rev limit for that. Burnout control, which you can, give it a set RPM so you don't over rev doing your burnouts. And that's kind of cool if you got your brake switches on, and you can set your RPM to that was taking way too long. So 6,500 instead of 7 grand maybe, so you don't rev too high in your burnout. And boost settings, everybody's favorite. Boost cut here we got cold cut, so we'll set that a bit lower, and in the hot cut we'll leave it there. And then yeah, the best way is probably limit at current RPM rather than 1200. Let's see, boost controller. So we have the option to use a boost controller, which is really sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and get one of those boost control kits and set it up, and that way we can have boost by gear, which will be super cool. I've always wanted boost by gear and never wanted to spend the Honda prices. But yeah, here I'm just going through all the other stuff. There's a lot of protections in there, anti-theft. There's certain things that you have to do to get the car to start, just like so nobody can steal it. Lane protections, knock protections, all that stuff can help save you. It's kind of cool. It'll be very fun to set up. Obviously, your standard AC cutoffs and all that. Popcorn mod is something new, really cool that I'm excited about. When you let off the gas, it does all sorts of popcorn noises and all that good stuff. So that's pretty sweet. So yeah, just saving it and saving all the progress and all the stuff that we've done so far. So we'll just call it that Accord guy, and that'll be that. But yeah, hopefully you guys are learning some stuff here. This is all just the basic settings. I'm not really doing too much crazy stuff. Not actually tuning anything just yet. But you can see, yeah, that's something that we have to change. The M bar PSI there. I forget exactly how I ended up doing it. I'm sure I'll find it at some point here. But what you want to do is change that so that it reads exactly like the gauges in your car, so that it's more friendly when you're tuning, looking at your gauges and stuff like that. So you want it to say PSI, and you want it to say inches of vacuum, inches of mercury. Yeah, so you wanted to say inches of mercury, but I ended up stumbling upon the ostrich settings here. So we're selecting our emulator, which is what we're communicating to the ECU with, which I have the ostrich, which I'll if you guys want to know more about that, I could detail that in another video. But yeah, further on, the settings that we have here are that's the one that I was talking about right there. You want, instead of that, you want inches of mercury G, which I did not select there. I'm not sure why, but you want inches of mercury G, which is going to display on your gauge, just like your gauge in your car, which is inches of vacuum. And you saw me select some other stuff there. Just you're gonna pick whatever you guys want for wherever you live and whatever you use for your Fahrenheit and your other ways of measuring things, imperial system or the metric system. Wideband, this is where you can go ahead and select what wideband you have, and it's going to use your specific AFRs, and it's going to use the correct voltages for the sensor you have, and you may need to calibrate that and mess with some stuff there, which I'm definitely going to have to, because my data logging isn't working still. I have to make that work because I would like that to work. I want my cell tracing and everything to be functional. But yeah, so ended up finding it, but ended up doing the wrong thing. But you guys know now, and I don't know if I ended up doing much else. We'll see what else I do here. But oh yeah, this is a pretty cool section here where you can set up like a target air fuel ratio under certain specific loads. So when the engine's under high load, you can target an 11.0 air fuel ratio, and when you're at mid load, you could do a 12.5, and at low load, you could do a 14.5 or a 15 or something like that. So that's kind of cool. And there's reference tables too that you can go to and you can look at, and it'll show you how far exactly percentage wise you are off from your desired air fuel ratio. So that's pretty cool as far as data logging goes. There's a lot that can be done with that. So I'm sure that you guys will make use of that. I definitely will at some point. But yeah, I messed around with that a little bit, even though it's not super important. I was just testing the waters with it. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. There's a lot of features here to try, and for the most part, I just need to get the car tuned and driving around on the tune, and then I can say if I am a huge fan. But so far, I really do like it. It seems pretty easy to use. It seems a lot less buggy than Chrome, and it's a lot cheaper than Hondata, that's for sure. So those are our targeted air fuels, which you can see there, which is pretty cool. We're still in inches of mercury, like /psi or some weird thing up top, but it looks like it's kind of I guess it's kind of working. Yeah, it's like in pounds over up top, but yeah, so it's looking pretty good. It is looking pretty good. I think that might be it. That might be everything that I do. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that it was helpful for you. And if you guys have any further questions or any other issues, let me know. But other than that, thanks for watching, guys, and peace out. I will talk to you in the next one.